So, David, can we talk first about Pope Francis's legacy?
I think there's multiple legacies. I think the legacy depends on who you are, what country you live in, and what your background is. The legacy here in Canada will be steps towards reconciliation. The legacy in the United States will be weighing in on issues that are considered domestic politics. The legacy for a lot of people in Islam is that he met with the Grand Mufti. The legacy in Congo is one of peace. So I think it really depends. For GLBTQ people, the legacy will be one of openness. And for more traditionalists in the church, the legacy will be one of confusion or anger. So it depends. I think it's impossible to sort of speak of one legacy for all, but of multiplicity.
I want to talk about one of the ones you just mentioned, that legacy specifically within the church itself.
Well, that is actually what I think the legacy of Francis within the church will be both what he is remembered for as his greatest strength and potentially the thing that caused the most harm and the thing that many of his detractors are concerned about, which was the notion of confusion. It's called synodality in the church. It's listening to people right down to the parish level. It's an openness of a church, an openness to dialogue, an inclusivity of dialogue within the church. That doesn't affect dogma. It doesn't affect the doctrine of the Catholic Church, but it did bring voices that hadn't been heard before, voices asking for married priests, for a greater role for women in the church. And I think for many, that brought confusion. They were looking for more, these are the rules, this is how it is. And Francis was more, why don't we bring everyone in and have a talk? One of my favorite moments with Francis, he was asked, who would you like to have in the church? And his response was, todos, todos, todos. Everyone, and we will figure it out later.
One last thought briefly to the selection of a new pope. 2 points I want to touch here. Firstly, what goes into that decision? Big question. Secondly, the potential paths moving forward?
What will go into the decision is whether or not the cardinals that enter the Sistine Chapel, whether they will vote for somebody who will continue his legacy, for someone who will temper his legacy, or for someone that would counter his legacy. So there will be the first general congregation, a very important meeting of cardinals begins tomorrow, and then those conversations will be held, and the cardinals will be discussing nothing but the path forward and the challenges facing the church and the church in the world, most importantly.
All right. Vatican analyst David Perlich in Calgary, thank you as always.
My pleasure.